Okay guys, welcome back to another video. Today I'm going to be talking about the pros and cons of the new CEO of Disney, Bob Chapek, firing Kathleen Kennedy. Because I'm going to go over this topic because, I don't know, something kind of in my feeling kind of is like, maybe he'll do it. Maybe he'll just say, well, let's cut the horse loose, if you will. And, fire. And maybe the pros and cons. And you might be thinking, what's the pros? Or maybe you're thinking, what's the cons? And I think as you have to take a step back here. I have to not look at the situation as a fan. I have to look at it as a CEO of a company, of Disney. And what companies and studios want. Their main reason for doing what they do is money. It's money. And so their decisions that they make in their studio, in their office, in their corporation, well, they're going to try to make the move that will make them the most money. And so right there kind of is a pro in and of itself to Kathleen Kennedy. And why they might keep Kathleen Kennedy as the head of Lucasfilm is because, 4 out of 5, 80% of all of her Star Wars films that she was the head for became $1 billion films. The only one to not do that was Solo, but everything else did make $1 billion. That's a whopping 80%. 80%, that's a big number. When you look at how many films make $1 billion, period, to think she can produce 4 of them. It's not like she made $4 billion films and 100, flopping Star Wars films. No, only one that sort of flopped, pretty much did flop. In which, that's a pro in and of itself. That's the biggest and kind of only pro, really. Because yes, she's a good producer, and yes, again, she's made $1 billion films as the head of Lucasfilm. But when the big goal is money, in many ways, that could be the decision enough. Now there's cons. And I think the biggest con, and a con that I kind of have, is that her failure to get a creative head and get a plan going and being able to stick to it and say, we're having this guy direct and write this film. But then a month later, they say, hey, breaking news. This director got fired. We're delaying this project. Remember when Kevin Feige was announced as, the producer of, a new Star Wars film? We haven't heard a single peep since, And even with the sequel trilogy, you see that, even then, even the Skywalker saga, you see that kind of flow of it doesn't seem like plan. You really do see the failure of a plan. When you see each film on the sequel trilogy, when you kind of watch The Force Awakens. When you watch The Force Awakens, and then you watch The Last Jedi, and then you watch The Rise of Skywalker, there is a sense of, this feels very different from each other. From a plot point standpoint, and just a film standpoint. Again, that all goes under the failure to kind of have a plan, and the failure to stick with what you're doing, and saying, this is who we have as the director. Find a director. This is who we're producing. This is who's writing the film. The writer's gone. This is what project we have next. The project's delayed so many times that now when a new Star Wars project gets announced, I, as a fan, and as someone who, again, all connects to money, in that I'm someone who would buy the film, or watch the film, or watch the show, all spring back to the idea of money. If I, a huge Star Wars fan, needs to physically see it, to believe it, and that Star Wars news doesn't mean anything to me, then that's a huge loss. And that's a reason why Bob Chapek might go for the con side and say, hey, Kathleen Kennedy is going, is going to leave. No, what you're thinking. In this case of making billion-dollar film after billion-dollar film with Star Wars, you might be thinking, it's Star Wars. Any producer can crank out these billion-dollar films. But that's not true. You know, you'd think that, anything, I'm trying to think of the biggest example of a big film that shouldn't flop. I mean, just recently, Justice League. Justice League is a huge, film, a huge storyline, a huge iconic group of characters. You would think, if I told you right now, before any of these other DC films came out, and I told you they're making a Justice League film, why? Why would you think that a Justice League film would flop? That's the thing. Wouldn't you just pencil in that a Justice League film would make $1 billion? And then you might be thinking, but Justice League had so many behind-the-scenes creative issues. That's my point. Is that, yes, I think she does have creative issues. That's one of her cons. But her ability to keep the actual films itself in check good enough for that people to actually go see the films, that's good enough. And you could be thinking, and that's the same thing with a lot of DC films, Batman vs. Superman. Again, wouldn't you think that would be $1 billion film? Sure enough, it wasn't. Somehow, some way, the crew in that film couldn't get more people to see that film than a Star Wars film. And so, some films you do pencil in as $1 billion film, and some of them is a Justice League, and some of them is a Batman vs. Superman. And then you realize that, but they didn't make $1 billion films. But consistently, Kathleen Kennedy did, but you really can't overlook the fact that she hires a director, then fires a director, and doesn't really know creatively where she's going. And behind the scenes, you just don't, one creative issue after another, one director in for one project, one director in for another project. They still to this day say Rian Johnson is going to do another trilogy. Yet has that even continued to happen? I don't even know. In which Obi-Wan Kenobi series, I'm so excited for it. Few weeks ago, got delayed. And so at what point are you going to realize we've had enough? So yeah, stay tuned for more videos coming at you.